Hi and welcome to the Great Southeast. Imagine spending your life cruising the world on luxury yachts and rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous, then deciding if you could live anywhere in the world, it would be right here in the hinterland village of Yamundi. That's exactly what happened to two old salts who gave up life on the ocean waves to open a country B&B not far from here. We're going to meet them a little bit later in the show and I can't wait to hear their stories. Welcome back to the Great Southeast. I've just arrived at Musavale Lodge near Yamundi. It's typical of the best B&Bs where arriving guests are treated to afternoon tea, and this homemade treat is the handiwork of Chris Russell, who along with her husband spent years hosting celebrities, millionaires, even royalty aboard some of the world's most expensive yachts. So I'd say they know a thing or two about hospitality. I'm going to settle in here and catch up with you later.
Yeah, we thought we were going for 4 months, but we ended up going right the way around the world and coming back home after 3 years.
Wow. Join me after the break as my hosts of a luxury B&B share their tales of high life on the high seas. So you left France, literally went around the world and back again. Literally. In the same
36,000 miles.
Fantastic. So the world really is round, you know, yep. For sure.
We left Europe to go for a diving in the Maldives, and then when we got to the Maldives we expected to go back to Europe, and the owner said, well, go on and wait for me in Singapore and I'll come and join you there. And we waited there for 9 months for him and he didn't turn up, so then he said, go and pick me up in Australia.
Listen to Joe and Chris Russell talk about their former life and you can't help feeling a tinsy bit envious. For 3 decades they travelled and worked aboard some of the world's most prestigious private yachts. Joe as the skipper and Chris as the purser.
There's not many thousands of people in the world working on these large, lovely yachts, and we're lucky enough to have spent our last 30 years doing it.
All right, so hit us with it. Who are some of the people that you've had the opportunity to work with and work for on these fabulous yachts?
International people, I suppose. We had Frank Sinatra, Roger Moore, Michael Caine.
Do you have any special souvenirs, any mementos?
Yes, there's one I'm very proud of from old Blue Eyes himself.
Oh, yes. He's a handsome man, wasn't he? Was he a nice guy to work with?
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very normal, not overly demanding, very pleasant.
Did he serenade you, Chris? No?
He was on holiday.
That's Joe's job.
That's my job.
So celebrities, royalty and media moguls, all with Chris and Joe on board multi-million-dollar boats. And the destinations were top shelf too. Monaco, the Bahamas, even the wilds of Papua New Guinea.
I like the wild, out-of-the-way places. We were lucky enough to go to the Galapagos before it became an eco-tourist place.
Now, of all the places that you were when you were travelling the world, how is it that you ended up in Yamundi? Because, I mean, you were saying you've literally been to every island in the Pacific Ocean.
We gravitated to Australia several times. After about 6 visits, the last job we had, bought a boat out here for Ridge Grundy. We arrived here and we think we keep coming back to Australia, so we said, sod it, we'll go and sell everything in Europe and come back to Australia, and we did.
They certainly picked a pretty spot to settle down. Hidden in tropical gardens, this graceful Queenslander has 3 private and stylish suites. The lodge is surrounded by peaceful rural properties with views to Mount Eowa. You can venture out to all sorts of Sunshine Coast attractions from here, or be waited on by 2 lovely people who know how to do it. Thank you, Chris. Chris is a cordon bleu chef trained in Switzerland, so I know my meal is going to impress. And she loves to use the local produce, which is kind of easy in this neck of the woods, like my organic beef that came from Butcher John in Yamundi. Looks fantastic. The saltwater pool is an inviting spot to spend the afternoon, but Chris and Joe have organised a special treat that's available on request. Jeffrey Salisbury is a local massage therapist who offers an interesting twist on treatments.
It's very much intuitive. I'm a psychic, have been since I was a kid. And what I do is I find blockages in the body, and then I get pictures or movies in my mind's eye or words, and then I will share those with the client. The mind then accepts it, releases it, and the healing begins.
You'll find Musavale Lodge at Eowah Vale near Yamundi on the Sunshine Coast. An overnight stay starts from $240 for a queen-sized suite, and that includes afternoon tea, port, nougat and a full breakfast. Well, a visit to the Sunshine Coast hinterland never fails to impress, particularly when you have attentive hosts like Joe and Chris to take care of you. And I have found the perfect spot by the pool to ponder all the things that Jeffrey told me during my massage session. This is where I'll say goodnight. Thank you so much for your company. Of course, the team and I would love to see you again next Sunday afternoon at 5:30 as we take you out and about in the Great Southeast.